morning and good afternoon. Welcome everyone to another day, another episode of Before Coffee. It is Thursday, which means we have 13 things on a list today. What's our list today? About baseball.
13 things that baseball. Yeah, 13 things baseball's done right. They've done
what
right.
they've done right as a sport, as just in general. Everything.
Screwing up for decades. Instead of screwing up for decades, they've done things
like
right.
the NBA or something.
Yeah, the NBA. It's just depressing. I mean, the NBA is just sad. It is. It is. I don't even know how many people watch the regular season. It's pointless. Okay, go ahead, sorry.
We also have some general news. You
great,
said go ahead. You can't keep talking. You can't keep talking if you say go ahead. We also have some general news stories here as well to talk about along with our list. So, welcome to the first and only international game show Before Coffee, a father and daughter news podcast where we look up our stories right before we started. We just got caffeine in our bodies and we learned to read and speak live on stream. Let's get into that Thursday news and list and spin that segue wheel.
Right on.
Today on Thursdays 13. I lost my news. Where did my news go? Oh no, where'd it go? There it is. Estonia says Russian jet violates airspace, triggers a response. Plus, thousands in Moldova cut off from water after Russian strike pollutes river.
In the United States, Afroman wins, and he wins the internet again. A verdict is found in his favor, and the FBI is investigating white supremacist Joe Kent, who resigned from the Trump administration. I should go Nazi, actually.
Epstein case. Former models ask French authorities to investigate former elite model Europe head Gerald Mari.
Is that it?
Yep.
And on Thursdays 13, we have 13 things that Major League Baseball has gotten right over the last 30 years since they went on strike the last time.
In my culture news, the Dijon 5. Ancient skeletons found sitting upright in French school playground.
Spooky. And it's National Backyard Day. And if you don't got a backyard, just go look out your back window and yell at your neighbors and go, how come I don't have a backyard? It's March 19th, 2026 on Before Coffee.
I mean, even we have backyards here. Why is it not switching?
Remember our backyard in Santa Teresa? It was just like 10 by 10, really, right? But we had one. Big rock wall.
They call them more gardens here, I guess, in Europe, right? You have a garden in the back. We don't really have a garden in the front, but you can definitely sit in the front yard, so to say.
Yeah.
Some places, their house opens up right onto the road, right? There's nowhere to sit. You can't even fit
that's an alley.
Yeah.
An alley, man. All right. Let's have a cookout in the backyard, and you're sitting there inhaling carbon monoxide as cars go rolling by you while you're trying to eat.
That's why I live in a village and not in the city, because they definitely don't have They don't have. A lot of people don't have yards. They live in apartments. So what yard?
Watching all the alley cats. Nothing personal. Watching all the alley cats and the rats and the mice and whatever, hedgehogs, everything.
Nothing.
In your
Oh
alley.
yeah. As of somebody who identifies as an alley cat, I'm not taking it personally.
Yeah, you don't have an alley, but you have a backyard. Nothing wrong with alleys. Although there's just no romance there. It's like, okay, there's a bum here. Hey, bum, how you doing? I'm just hanging out. Hey, nice job, bum. I don't know.
Nice and warm in this alleyway. That's why I'm here. Hides me from the wind.
Right. They get that warm air getting pushed up from the subway, you know.
All right, let's get our first segue today for our news. Where is my... Oh, there it is. There, I found it. Segway wheel, go!
I know the steam vent. A lot of cities has steam vents that bums like to crowd around.
Okay.
And I say effectively bum. I like the word bum. I think it's a great word.
It's also the word they use
Bums
for
and
butt in the UK. Well, I hope my next story is about Russia causing havoc in everywhere that isn't Ukraine, you know? People are like, oh, it's not my problem, it's only Ukraine. Well, they're causing havoc everywhere else. So...
What did I spend?
Remind me of a song. Remind you of a song. Does this remind you of anything?
Okay.
That's what that's what you're doing.
Okay.
Let's
start
with our first story, which is coming out of Estonia, which is a short little blurb here from Louise Rasmussen on Reuters. Coming out of Copenhagen. A Russian fighter jet violated neighboring Estonia's airspace on Wednesday, which would have been yesterday, the 18th of March, triggering a response from NATO's Baltic Air Policing. Estonia Foreign Minister Margus Chashna said. It was the first time this year, which, congratulations, I guess, that Russian aircraft has violated Estonian airspace, the Foreign Ministry said. The violation occurred near Vandlu Island in the Gulf of Finland, so they're flying over the water, off Estonia's northern coast, where a Russian Su-30 fighter aircraft entered Estonian airspace and remained for around 1 minute, Changa said on Thursday. There's no threat from Estonia's security, he added. NATO's Baltic Air Policing mission responded swiftly, deploying Italian Air Force units, according to Shakna. In September last year, Estonia said 3 Russian military jets violated the Baltic country's airspace for 12 minutes in an unprecedentedly brazen incursion, while Russia's defense ministry rejected the claim as false. Yeah, you can't get lost in the... We've been flying jets and all sorts of things through the sky for 50 years now or something. You can't be, oh, we didn't know that was your airspace. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You're using the the latitude and longitude as everyone else. Estonia summoned the acting head of the Russian diplomatic mission in Tallinn to protest at the 18th of March's incident, the foreign ministry said. The Russian embassy in Estonia did not immediately respond to a request for comment when contacted by Reuters via phone and email. This was also edited by Terje Slozvik and Aiden Lewis. So there's your short update on Russia breaking air. You gotta keep your eyes on this. Because one of these days, hopefully not, but one of these days it could be Russia bombs Estonia, right? Instead of just invade the airspace. So you gotta be prepared. Because they've not been following any international rules so far. So. Thank you for lurking while you're at work, and I appreciate you stopping by, Snacks. Good morning.
Let's, happy morning, everybody.
Yeah. What, does that remind you of a song?
It does, but it reminded me of a group first when I did a pun on Estonia.
Of course.
The Stone Ponies, which was Linda Ronstadt's original group. And the song is called Different Drum, as you and I travel to the beat of a different drum. Oh, can't you tell by the way I run every time you make eyes at me, Putin? Anyway, there's your... You can't have Estonia. Estonia has 2 ports, by the way, the Baltic Sea and whatever the Finnish Gulf or whatever it is. So they're really positioned well in the world. So I think Russia is like, yeah, we want that piece of land. We're gonna lose. We're gonna lose Sevastopol and the Crimean pretty quick. So let's take this piece of land now.
To be fair,
they're all over that.
Since a long time ago, Russians wanted just all the land, all the way probably to France. I don't know.
They want Finland.
They want to be the Roman Empire and just have everything.
I'm convinced Trump was trying to get Greenland just to turn it over to Putin, but I guarantee.
Maybe.
I would not. He works for Putin. I mean, it's just so obvious to me. I don't even know how to even continue to make believe that's not true. Look what he's done for Putin. $120 in oil that Putin's selling to the world now. Wow, I wish I had a deal like that. I could just freaking print money constantly. Sigh.
Next story is coming out of Moldova. Speaking of oil.
Former
Speaking of
Soviet
oil,
satellite state.
Stephen McGrath has this on The Independent. Tens of thousands of Moldovans have been left without water after a Russian strike on a Ukrainian hydroelectric plant resulted in oil polluting a major river that flows through both countries. The Dniester River was contaminated following attack on Ukraine's Novodnistrovsk hydropower plant on March 7th. Moldovan President Maya Sandu has directly blamed Russia for the pollution, saying it is threatening Moldova's water supply in the European Union candidate country. It's not too late to join the EU. You still got a chance. The Ukrainian facility is situated approximately 15 kilometers, 9 miles upstream from Moldova's northern border and is vital, supplying water to about 80% of Moldova's 2.5 million residents. This incident aligns with Moscow's repeated targeting of Ukraine's civilian infrastructure, such as dams and river ports, since its full-scale invasion in 2022. This is typical war stuff. I'm not surprised by that, but if there's anybody, right, in any of these surrounding countries that are like, yeah, Russia, they don't care about you. They'll pollute your river. They'll kill your... I mean, Moldova's been taking the brunt of all of this stuff. No power from Russia. They're supposed to be getting power from Russia. They got abandoned by Russia. No power during the winter. They had to get bailed out by the EU. The river is getting freaking flooded. Who knows what other things, bad things have happened in Moldova thanks to Russia. Russian bears full responsibility, said Sandu on a Sunday. What was Sunday? That would have been the 15th of March in a post on Twitter. Moldova's environmental ministry declared an environmental state of alert for 15 days, giving the authorities a legal mechanism to boost technical intervention and impose temporary restrictions on water supplies. We are taking this decision to make sure we prevent any risk to population's health, it said. Because the continuous wave of pollution with oil products, the risk of pollution spreading, the exceedance of contaminant levels in the northern area of the Dniester River. While oil pollutants have been confirmed to the river following the strike, the exact source of the pollutant is not yet clear, so it couldn't be from the hydroelectric plant, but it probably is. The situation has forced the authorities to cut the water supply to several districts, including Moldova's second largest city of Balti, which has a population of about 90,000 people, as well as a humanitarian aid from neighboring Romania. Moldova's military stepped in this week to distribute drinking water in the northern city from a 10-ton tanker. It's very hard, said 84-year-old Balti resident Liubur Istrati, who has been carrying buckets of water up to her apartment. We live on the 5th floor. It's just the two of us old people. My husband is sick in bed. The water shortage has forced some schools to close and move learning to online. It's a complicated situation. I have to come every day to get water, said Irina Multluk, a teacher living in Balti. Even for one person, you need quite an amount of water to consume for the bathroom and so on, so it's really complicated. The authorities are now racing to clean up the pollution and analyze and monitor the river water. Neighboring Romania, which has close relations with Moldova, has dispatched teams and equipment, such as absorbent materials for dams, to aid in cleanup efforts to catch all that oil. The latest samples taken show an improvement in water indicators, which confirms the effectiveness of the filters and barriers for the capture and disposal of pollutants, the Ministry of Environment said yesterday on the 18th of March. The ministry added that the authorities are working at an accelerated pace to resume water supplies, but this decision will be made exclusively on the basis of at least 2 consecutive sets of analyses, taken on 2 different days. Protecting the health of citizens remains the absolute priority, as is your job as a government. We love that. Moldova's Environment Minister, George Hagia, said on the 18th of March at a press briefing that for the first time since the crisis began, 3 critical monitoring points on the river breached the admissible limit of oil pollution. So there's still oil in the water, but it's not so much that you'll die. He added that if the analysis shows the same result or improve the next 48 hours, authorities will consider reopening a pumping station on the northeastern border with Ukraine, which supplies several districts and Balti. It is clear evidence that the upstream oil diversions have been greatly mitigated, and the absorbing dams have had their effect, he said. The Dniester River originates in the southwestern Ukraine and spans more than 1,300 kilometers or 846 miles, continuing downstream through Moldova, back through the southern Ukraine, and empties into the Black Sea. Although at some point values may temporarily return within acceptable limits to come in waves, making it difficult to actually anticipate evolution, the Environment Ministry said. Moldova's there could be like a pocket of oil getting stuck in like a bend somewhere, and then it all gets released and then it comes down, you never know. Moldova's General Prosecutor Office said on the 17th of March that it will open a criminal case to investigate the matter, while Moldova's foreign ministry summoned Russian ambassador to Chisinau, Oleg Ozerov, who was presented with a bottle of brownish water. Go ahead, take a drink. In an online statement on the 18th of March, the Russian embassy in Moldova argued that the Moldovan authorities had not presented any evidence of Russia's complicity. Yeah, okay, so oil spilled into a river in Ukraine. How does that affect you guys? That's how rivers work, asshole.
This is so good.
Yeah. Aside from a container with unknown murky liquid with no markings regarding where and when it was obtained, and that, by definition, cannot prove anything. The statement claimed gaslighting from Russia as usual. The statement claimed that Moldovan authorities publicly claim a lack of precise information about the nature of the incident, the type and the amount of pollutants, putting forward conflicting theories. Laya Trombitsky, a biologist at Eco Tiras, a umbrella of non-governmental organizations in Moldova and Ukraine, says that while it's difficult to yet determine the short or long-term consequences of the pollution, the fact that several cities are without water is evident social damage. It depends on the nature of the pollutant. We still do not know either the source or the substance of the pollution, he told the Associated Press. It is evident that it is not healthy for birds and wetland birds. It's evident that some invertebrates were killed, especially upstream, crustaceans, but small ones, which can be food for fish. Moldova does not have experience in such spills, he added. So they're just being cautious, right? Because they don't have experience in such spills. So it's better to just apply all the things other people who've dealt with oil spills have done, and then just hope that their water is clean for the people who need to consume it. So, yeah, I think they were just being extra cautious, which is good. As a government, you should be extra cautious and make sure people aren't being harmed. You're muted.
Reminds me of a song, and this one is a metaphor for being in a war you can't win and you have not actually planned for. It's a song by Pete Seeger called Waist Deep in the Big Muddy, and then of course Big Muddy is
it's very relatable to this too.
Very shitty war that you got involved in. Let's do a verse that kind of let's do one of the verses that kind of says what you're saying here.
Mm-hmm.
We stripped and this is about the fourth verse down, and it kind of ends. We stripped and dived and found his body. This is about the captain that drowned because he didn't have a plan. Anyway, yeah. I guess he didn't know that the water was deeper than the place he'd once. Let's do that again. We stripped and dived and found his body stuck in the old quicksand. I guess he didn't know that the water was deeper than the place he'd once before been. Another stream had joined the Big Muddy about a half mile from where we'd gone. We're lucky to escape from the Big Money, where the big fool said to push on. So that's kind of how it ends. Every verse ends on, we're waist deep in the Big Money and the big fool says to push on. We're waist deep in the Big Money and the big fool. That's the end of it. It's like, oh Christ, where are we going? What are we doing? Of course, this was written in 1967. It wasn't about a river. It was about Vietnam. So let's.
Of course.
That's your answer for.
Yep. So many metaphor in that too. Love that.
Yeah. Yep.
Let me do this.
That's called Knee Deep in the Big Muddy. The Big Muddy. And going for the big money, by the way. Kind of a metaphor. Or not metaphor, a pun. Big money. Big muddy. All right. This one is all about oil money. Don't forget it.
I'll give you some sarcasm.
Iran war. Sarcasm. We got one good story and one really troubling story, but that's the world we live in. And AP News has a story. Mayclaire Dale, rapper Afroman, wins his defamation lawsuit against Ohio police over house raid. This is awesome. The Grammy-nominated rapper Afroman won a defamation lawsuit filed by 7 Ohio sheriff's deputies who sued him over music videos in which he used home security footage to mock their raid of his home. Ohio, that explains why everybody's so rotund, why everybody's so round. I was just trying, is that Florida? Looking at the videos, I was like, is that Florida?
Yeah.
What's that now?
You need to jiggle your camera connector.
Okay, my camera.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still doing it?
No, it stopped, but just in case, make sure the connection's secure, I guess.
I probably touched my computer and it caused.
I touched the you need a you need to ground your computer.
All right. Anyway, these sheriff's deputies who are looking for drugs and kidnapping victims, apparently.
Yeah.
They never found anything. Anyway, Afroman's quote, "We did it, America. Yeah, we did it. Freedom of speech, right on, right on." The 51-year-old rapper born Joseph Foreman shouted outside the courthouse after the Wednesday evening verdict. It didn't take him long to reach a verdict, by the way. He later posted the clip to social media. The case tested the limits of parody and the license artists can take in a social commentary directed at public figures. The deputies collectively sought nearly $4 million in damages. Yeah, they saw themselves in a payday. Oh, he's got money. He must be famous. He's famous. He must have $4 million. And then they stole his money, by the way. Freaking ridiculous, man. How do you sue somebody after you stole $400 from him? That's just crazy. No reasonable person would expect a police officer not to be criticized. They've been called names before, defense lawyer David Osborne said in the closing arguments before the rapper and comedian, known for his breakout 2000 hit, "Because I Got High, Because I Got High, Because I Got High." The Adams County deputies said they were publicly harassed over the viral videos, which were viewed more than 3 million times on YouTube. The videos show rifle-wielding deputies busting down Afroman's doors, searching his shoes and his suit pockets, hungrily eating a cake on the kitchen table, inspiring one song's title, Lemon Pound Cake, which has, I think, over 1 million views on YouTube. So again, here we go with the Streisand effect, in case you haven't heard of that. It's, don't look at my house. Here it is. You don't want me to look at your house. Why'd you tell me about your house? I don't understand. And other music videos, Afroman took aim at the deputies' personal lives and called them crooked cops because of $400 that went missing in the raid. Belief is the police officers shouldn't be stealing civilian money, the rapper testified this week. The whole thing is an outrage. In court, wearing a red, white, and blue American flag suit, which she needs to... Whoever tailored that's probably going to get rich, right? I'm just saying. There are going to be a lot of people buying those suits just for fun now, right? And Coot, hey, it is America's anniversary. Why the hell not go full flag, right? Go full flag, everybody. In court, wearing a red, white, and blue American flag suit, he defended his... That would piss off so many conservatives if liberals started wearing flag suits all over the place. He defended his work on First Amendment grounds and said he was issued the diss tracks to cover damages from the raid. Yes, which the cops never reimbursed him for, including a broken gate in the front door. No charges were filed over the 2022 raid, which the warrant said was part of a drug and kidnapping investigation. In his testimony, he said he had the right to tell his friends and fans what police had done. He said he had traumatized his children. Who cares? Oh, it was children, no matter. We're police officers. His children, traumatized his children, ages 10 and 12. The whole raid was a mistake. All of it was their fault. If they hadn't wrongly raided my house, there would be no lawsuit. I would not know their names, Foreman said. They wouldn't be on my home surveillance system, and there would be no songs, nothing. You're looking for... Well, he made money off our images. He made money off our images. Dude, the only reason his images exist because you frickin' broke into his house. Seriously, you have no reasonable protection of rights when you violate someone else's rights. Do you understand that part? Oh my God. The lyrics of "Will You Help Repair My Door," another great video with a lot of views, of course.
I love these.
Addresses the police.
On the nose title. You
I'm
stole
like,
400.
yeah, I'm serious. I mean, all this case did was give those videos more views and give Afroman more money. I just don't know why these cops think they're doing something bad to this guy. They're making him a hero, a national hero. By the way, this crosses all political spectrums. They're all like, seriously? The cops think they can do that? Really? Try that with me, you know? The lyrics will you help me repair my door? Address the police directly. Did you find what you were looking for? Would you like a slice of lemon pound cake? You can take as much as you want to take. There must be a big mistake. Anyway, I didn't do it in the right rap, but you know, you get the gist. You can watch it. I insist you watch it 50 or 60 times, actually. Anyway.
To help him repair
his door. The video slows down. The video slows down. Yeah, right. I wonder if his door's been repaired. It's just laying there still, right? No, I'm sure he fixed his door. The video slows down, showing, and his gate. Don't forget they fucked up his gate too. Like he's a private citizen with a private property. They fucked up his gate and they're repairing. What? So just any criminal can just come in his house after he left, right? He wasn't even home when it happened. By the way, he was in Chicago. The video slows down, showing an officer holding a gun next to a cake stand in Afroman's kitchen. Then he raps, the warrant said narcotics and kidnapping. Are you kidding? I make my money rapping. You crooked cops need to stop. There are no kidnapping victims in my suit pockets. As the video shows the officer searching his closet. The deputies in their testimony said the songs ridiculed them, which they deserve. Deputy Lisa Phillips said the rapper created a derogatory music video that questioned her gender and sexuality. Sergeant Randy Waters, again, we only know your names because of what you did in this lawsuit, folks. That's the only reason we really care anymore. You could have just let this quietly go away, but you wanted some money. Sergeant Randy Waters said his child had been hazed at school over Ottoman's post. Imagine what Afroman's kids feel like, huh? They had a cop kick in their door and point an automatic weapon at them. Hazed, not tased. Hazed, not tased. Bad connection. Whoa, I was like, what? Anyway, no. Where in the world is it okay to make something up for fun that's damaging to others when you know for sure it's an absolute lie, yes? What are you talking about, cop? Nothing in that's an absolute lie. How do you know it's an absolute lie? Really? Afroman's lawyer, in closing arguments, it was not unusual for artists engaged in social commentary to exaggerate. Robert Klingler, representative of the deputy, said Afroman lied about these 7 brave deputy sheriffs for the past 3 years. Even if somebody does something that hurt you, that you think is wrong, like a search warrant execution that you think is unfair, that doesn't justify telling intentional lies against people designed to hurt people. Afroman, he argued, Afroman, we don't need to give his address. Let's let him have some privacy. Anyway, I don't know why they put his freaking, oh, he lives here and he lives here. Like, why are you telling me where he lives? Huh? What the fuck are you talking? Why don't you put his address? Put his address. I can find it. I know what the outside of his house looks like thanks to the cops and all the videos I've seen. So I can find his house. Thanks you for doxing him, asshole. Anyway, there's your story. Jesus. I get it. He lives in Ohio near Cincinnati. Now what? What are you telling us that for? We already got the part about Ohio. Adams County, Ohio. Got it. What the hell? I mean, seriously. Tell us where his kids go to school, too. I'm sorry, what? Anyway. Wow. Let's do it. Sorry. The end of that article. Yeah, exactly. Right, yeah. I always like, that's one good thing about the internet. That's one good thing about everybody having a camera every day. We don't have to rely on the stupid cops. Oh, I accidentally forgot to turn on my body camera that time. Oh, okay, thanks. You get a get out of jail free card for being dishonest. Okay. All right. Any more? Nope. I only got the next one is about this guy named Joe Kent, who I never heard about, but he is an anti-Semite. So let's not make him a hero. And I guarantee you the reason he quit is because we're fighting a war that Israel should be fighting for themselves. And that's why he quit, I guarantee. But anyway, he still resigned and he made Trump look like an idiot, even more of an idiot than he already looked like, which is, I don't even know if that was possible, but he didn't. FBI, again. Hats off to this fascist, racist pile of shit Christian nationalist for resigning over Israel, because everybody hates Israel yet right now. I mean, nearly everybody. Yeah, it's like, yeah, we're not anti-Semites. In no way we are anti-Netanyahu. Netanyahu's a fascist who just gets away with way too much in his own country. He was about to be thrown out of office, and then, whoa, look at that, Hamas attacked us. What a shock. Anyway, again, we're going to have a FBI, again, in this country. The FBI is being run by a bunch of fucking criminals, and they're investing people for just quitting their job. All right, so here we are. Back in fascist America. TheGuardian.com had the story. David Smith, FBI investigating U.S. counterterrorism chief who resigned over Iran war, report said. The resignation of Joe Kent, a senior counterterrorism official who spoke out against the U.S. war in Iran, took a dramatic turn on Wednesday with a report that he's under investigation in a federal bureau investigation over a alleged leak of classified information. The inquiry predates Kent's departure on Tuesday from his post as director of National Counterterrorism Center, which I do not believe for a second that it predates that, where he had overseen the analysis of terrorist threats, according to Semaphore and CBS News. Again, I do not. Semaphore is the main driver of this article, and CBS News, I wouldn't believe anything they said. If they told me the sky was blue, I would run outside and immediately check to make sure. But CBS News has no credibility anymore. They're run by fascists, so I don't even think we should use them as a source in any story. The FBI declined to comment on the existence of any investigation. The report came as Kent, the first senior member of the administration to quit over the war, gave his first media interview since stepping down, speaking to right-wing commentator Tucker Carlson. By the way, Tucker Carlson also is being investigated by the government because he's against the Iran war. Tucker Carlson, the guy who's been sucking fascist, you-know-whats for his entire life. Born rich, born with a silver spoon up his butt. That guy, Tucker Carlson. He claimed that dissenting voices were effectively frozen out of the decision-making process that led to U.S. airstrikes on Iran 20 February. Yeah, Trump is blowing MAGA clean apart with this one. A good deal of key decision makers were not allowed to come and express their opinions to the president, Kent said, the Tucker Carlson Show podcast. There wasn't a robust debate. Wearing a blue checked shirt open at the collar. You think this reporter has a crush on Kent a little bit? Why are you commenting on his open shirt? Okay, here you go. Comment on this. I don't know. A staunch Donald Trump ally. I don't know what that means. Do they do this commentary? Imagine if they did this about a woman, right? Wearing a revealing top where you can see her cleavage. Why is that part of the story? A staunch Donald Trump ally, conspiracy theories appeared at pains to not criticize the president directly, but he painted a picture of White House. Who's making the decisions there, Joe? You're a coward. Stop acting like you're brave. You're not. You're a coward. You still quit, right? You still quit, and you won't criticize the guy. You're still a coward. Sorry, you're still a coward. More portraits and cowardice. You just quit because you didn't want to be blamed and you didn't want to help Israel because you're an anti-Semite. That's his actual position on life. I'm not making that up. He's a confirmed Nazi. But he painted a picture of White House in which Trump relied on a tight inner circle of advisors, sidelining officials who questioned both the intelligence and the strategic wisdom underpinning the strikes. I'm going to read that as Whiskey Pete is all up Donald Trump's ass, and Pete Keg's breath is calling the shots, and nobody else gets to say anything. That's why he quit. So everybody there, I guarantee, hates Whiskey Pete, but they're afraid of him because he's insane and he controls the Department of Defense and they'll just bomb their house. I don't know. A lot of these people, by the way, do live on military bases now because they're scared shitless of the American citizens. Not just terrorists, American citizens. They're scared of us because they live on military base. Marco Rubio moved to a military base. Why does he have to live in a military base and base housing? Why are we subsidizing his housing? understand any of this. Anyway, Kent insisted there was no evidence that Iran was close to gaining a nuclear weapon, which is true, and posed an imminent threat to the United States, also true. There was no intelligence. Hey, on whatever day it was, March 1st, the Iranians are going to launch this big sneak attack. They're going to do some kind of 9/11, Pearl Harbor, etc. They're going to attack one of the bases. There was none of that intelligence, he says. And again, where's the proof? Like, again, he's letting the cat out of the bag. There is going to be a terrorist attack in the United States, and they're going to blame it on Iran, and they're going to cancel the elections. I guarantee it. They won't cancel the elections everywhere. They'll cancel them in California. That's where the terrorist attack's happening. They've already called their shot. The FBI said Iran is planning a terrorist attack in California. Oh, by the way, 4 drones were stolen from Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Where are they? Where'd they go? Where'd they go? Where'd they go? They said they identified suspects. Who are they? Anyway, they're planning it. The FBI is planning a terrorist attack, and we're already onto it. Kent added, I know how this works. I know that Israeli officials, some intelligence, some in government will come to the U.S. government officials and they will say all kinds of things that we know from our intelligence simply isn't true. They'll say, hey, but I'm giving you a preview. It's not an intelligence channels yet, but here's what's going to happen, and that doesn't usually come to fruition. Such remarks have drawn stiff condemnation from some quarters. Critics argument the reference to an Israeli lobby veer into offensive tropes. Of course this guy is offensive, he's an anti-Semite, but it doesn't make him wrong, all right? It doesn't make him wrong. Carlson has come under similar scrutiny, notably after previously interviewing the anti-Semite Nick Fuentes, a guy with no self-awareness. Nick Fuentes is a white supremacist. His name is Fuentes, and he's Cuban. So you go figure that one out. Kent, who did not specify who blocked his access to the president, also cited comments by Marco Rubio, another Cuban who has no self-awareness, the Secretary of State, and Grinder Mike Johnson, the House Speaker, as indicative of Israel's influence over the timing of the strikes. But he noted the U.S. and Israel have different goals. Most folks right now at Pentagon Intelligence Agency that would say Israelis actually have different objective here. I do not believe that our objective is clearly defined because we're shying away from regime change. The Israelis are not shying away from regime change. They want to knock out lock, stock, and barrel the current government. They don't seem to have a plan for what comes next. Of course they don't. They just want continuous war to keep themselves in power. Netanyahu is much younger than Trump, like 10 years younger. Don't forget that. He's got 10 years of fucking with people beyond Trump, is the way he sees it. Mm-hmm. He could die tomorrow, of course, but there was rumors he was dead, by the way, earlier this week, but damn, tough luck. Kent told Carlson that he would decided to resign after it became obvious that his concerns would be ignored. I know this path that we're on doesn't work, and I can't be part of this in good conscience. A Green Beret, Kent saw combat in 11 deployments before retiring to join the CIA. He also endured tragedy. His wife, a Navy cryptologist, was killed by a suicide bomber in 2019 in Syria, leaving him with 2 young sons. Kent, 45, has since remarried. Kent's work as a National Counterterrorism Center was overseen by Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, who on Wednesday said it was Trump and Trump alone to decide whether Iran posed a threat. Gabbard, a veteran and former congresswoman from Hawaii, previously criticized talk of military strikes in Iran. She has not said what she thinks of the current strikes, and spokesperson has declined to respond to questions. The White House pushed back forcefully when Kent resigned. Trump dismissed him as, here's the quote. Somebody finally quoted this idiot. Trump dismissed him as weak on security, insisting that Iran represented a tremendous threat and suggesting that those who disagreed lacked judgment. And if somebody didn't think I was a threat, we don't want those people. Okay, whatever. So again, you got to be sick of it for Trump, or he don't want you around. He doesn't want to tell you the harsh truth. He doesn't want to hear the harsh truth. He only wants his ego massaged. And the people that are doing him wrong are the ones that are telling him lies. And he believes every lie he tells, and because he just gets it reinforced by everybody around him. Why would he think different? We are being run by complete fucking morons in the age of stupid. Let's have a enlightening non sequitur.
Also, I realized before that my mic was muted, so nobody heard my sarcasm, but my sarcasm was, I'm glad we have video evidence of the crimes these police committed against Afroman, and they still deny it happened. Yep. It was AI. It was
Was my
totally
mic muted?
AI. No, it's only me. It was only me who was muted. Now, my
Okay.
sarcasm for
No, you got
this story
You got my
is...
response, though. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, I got you.
all right, good.
My sarcasm
Right
for
there.
this story is I'm really enjoying the right eating itself, because too often it's the left eating itself. So when the right starts eating
Right.
itself, you got to celebrate, you know.
Yeah, there's been enough of that this week.
And
too.
just to
Every-
bring this up
every time-
again, it wasn't a leftist who killed Charlie Kirk. It was a farther right than him. And people keep on talking about it like he was killed by a terrorist. I mean, he was killed by a terrorist, because most terrorists are right. There are some leftist terrorists, and I'm not saying there aren't any leftist terrorists, but most of the terrorists have been right-leaning or far-right terrorists. Just saying.
Candace Owens, another MAGA idiot, says that Charlie Kirk was murdered by Israel, and I'm going with that. I'll go with that.
Yeah, sure.
It's totally believable. Right? Because why? He was saying things about Israel. He was actually coming out and saying things. Why are we doing Israel's bidding? Why are we spending this money on Israel? Next thing you know, he's got a big hole in his neck. Candace Owens might be nuts, but she also might not be. She might be onto something. And don't let us never forget that Jeffrey Epstein is the one that started QAnon. He paid for it. He bankrolled it. QAnon is a Jeffrey Epstein operation. And all you suckers in the right wing are still falling for their bullshit. From Epstein. Epstein made you a fool, idiot. Right. Okay, let's get on with it.
Next segue for
Speaking
my
of
next
Epstein-
story.
Yeah. Right on.
We're going to
got a
get
video.
some mixed metaphor, it looks like, about...
An Epstein mixer. That's easy enough.
Yeah, perfect. We're talking about Epstein. They're trying to pull it under the headlines in America, but in Europe, they're still paying very much attention to the Epstein files. And now in France, a former elite model Europe head, so somebody who basically collected girls and said, go walk on a runway, needs to be investigated. This is from Le Monde with Agence France Presse. The 15 women of British, Dutch, American, and Swedish nationalities claim to have evidence of the links between the former head of the prestigious model agency and the American sex criminal Jeffrey Epstein. That's right, American sex criminal. That's a great title for Epstein. Yeah. 15 women who have denounced sexual violence in the modeling industry asked the French justice system on Thursday, today the 19th of March, to investigate Gerald Mari, former head of the prestigious modeling agency, claiming to, the agency was called Elite Model Group. That's what it was called. Elite Model Group. Claiming to have evidence of his links with the American sex criminal Jeffrey Epstein. Ebba P. Carlson, a 56-year-old Swede residing in the U.S., and Lisa Brinkworth, 58-year-old Briton living in London, met in the French capital on the 19th of March to deliver a letter to prosecutor Laure Bassau, as observed by the journalist from Agence France Presse. What we want investigators to determine is the nature of the link between Epstein and Gerald Mari, and whether he was involved in the wrongdoing with Epstein, Lisa Brinkworth, who represents the Victorious Angels We Rise collective, told AFP. I guess must be ex-Victoria Angels, Victoria's Angels, who made a union together. The British woman was a BBC journalist investigating modeling agents undercover with Frenchman Gerald Mari, former European director of the Elite Model Management, allegedly sexually assaulted her in public in Milan in 1998. And that could be anything from, grabbing your ass in public, groping you, doesn't indicate that he had sex with her in public, but those are still crimes. And that's still a terrible thing to do to people. Lisa Brinkworth filed a complaint for sexual assault in 2021. The 3 former models, including Ebba P. Carlson, joined her complaint with reports of rape or sexual assault, but the investigation was closed due to the statute of limitations in February 2023. We're sorry you have PTSD from your assault, but it's so weird to have statute of limitations on this shit. I think it's weird. Ms. Brinkworth appealed the decision. The 15 signatories of British, Dutch, American, and Swedish nationality believe that the situation has evolved since the classification. The Paris prosecutors opened 2 framework investigations, and one for human trafficking offenses and the other for financial offenses, aimed at analyzing the denunciations related to Jeffrey Epstein. So for anybody who doesn't know how courts work, right? You can't continue filing for the same crime, right? Let's say, Roger punched me in the nose. If he gets off for punching me in the nose, I can't refile again to try to get a bigger sentence on him. You have to add new evidence or new something to the case in order to get it
It
re-investigated.
depends on the county and the state and all that, right?
Yeah. But in a general sense, right? That's why they're like, now with these new revelations with Jeffrey Epstein, we think we can file him under, human trafficking, financial offenses, and maybe other things, right? Anything that Jeffrey Epstein was into, if he was connected to that, he could also be guilty of, is what they're saying. Or at least a co-conspirator or something. But in their letter, which AFP has seen, the 50 women claim they can help the investigation by providing court documents and emails showing collaborations between Gerald Mari, Brunel, and Epstein, and linking them to MC2 and E-model management agencies. The letter also mentions Jean-Luc Brunel, an agent indicted in Paris who committed suicide in custody in 2022, and Daniel Said, a French model recruiter against whom Ebba P. Carson filed a rape complaint last February in 2025, and who is cited in more than 1,000 documents contained in the declassified Epstein case files. So that guy is super red-handed. He's not red-handed, he's red-skinned. His whole skin is red. That's how... What did I say again? More than 1,000 documents speak of this, of Daniel Said. More than 1,000 documents mention this man. All but one of us were raped or sexually assaulted on French soil, which is why they're specifically bringing this to French courts. The signatories write, specifying that 2 of them were minors at the time of the acts committed by Gerald Mari. Today, aged 50 to 60, we demand justice. So there's your story coming out of France on some connections to Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, yes. The Epstein class. We're going to talk about the Epstein class. The Epstein class is basically just a big circle jerk, and they own weapons and they own TV networks. So we're kind of screwed, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's all kinds of Israeli people in there and they're suppressing it. And we know Russia has the files. There's no doubt they have the files. No doubt. Absolutely.
I just wish Iran wasn't calling a bluff and actually did have them and released them all unredacted. Yeah.
Nope. Man, that's
Just
the
a
thing
bluff.
about blackmail. You don't release it. You don't release blackmail. You just keep blackmailing. And the stupid Trump falls for it. He's been falling for it 10 years. He's been falling for the blackmail. He should have just said, release what you got. I don't give a shit. By the way, he already said he could shoot people on Fifth Avenue and get away with it. He should have just said, fuck it. Yeah, release what you got. But again, it must be really bad, right? It's the only conclusion I can reach.
Perhaps.
Hey, let's do our list, I suppose.
Yeah, that's my only story. Yeah.
Okay.
Was that your metaphor? Your mixed metaphor?
That was it.
Okay.
That was my mixed metaphor. Circle jerk, right? But a circle jerk where everybody has weapons and actually the ability to not give a crap. That's another important facet of it. And they also own TV networks. Don't forget, these oligarchs, the Epstein class, they are all telling you what the news is today because they don't want you to know about the Epstein files anymore. They're changing the subject. Don't worry about it. They changed it a lot of times already. But we need to keep dragging ourselves back to it because they're trying to cover themselves. It ain't about the rape anymore. It's about the cover-up. We can't prosecute the rapers. That ship has sailed. It's about the cover-up, folks, and we got to do something about it. Otherwise, what the hell are we? Okay, so let's do this 13th lighthearted thing. Lighthearted. Get off the Epstein case and let's talk about. Let's do the you remember the Untouchables? Robert De Niro playing Al Capone. Let's talk about baseball. Right? Remember that one where he takes out the baseball bat, right? Anyway, 13 things. We're gonna preamble this with talking about the 1994 strike. You don't remember it? That was the year you were born. But when you were about 6 months old, Major League Baseball canceled the rest of the season and killed a lot of people's careers, actually. It could have been a 400 hitter that year. The Montreal Expos could have been a World Series. No, none of that happened. They just said, fuck it. Screw the fans. Of course, baseball's nothing without its fans, and it took years for the fans to come back. Not just me. Yeah. They had to go ahead and let Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire use all the steroids they wanted and hit about 1 million home runs, and hey, everybody's into baseball again. And it was all a con, because if those guys were legit, why aren't they on the Hall of Fame? They're not, because they use steroids. That's why they're not in the Hall of Fame. So baseball has been working its way back to our American consciousness, and they've done some things right. In fact, they seem to be getting a lot of things right lately, and I want to give them credit. So 13 things Major League Baseball has done right since 1994. And the first thing they did right was in 1997 was interleague play. They decided in a small experiment, the Bud Selig, the owner of the Milwaukee Brewers, who was the commissioner of baseball then, decided, hey, why are we waiting until the World Series for these teams to play each other? Because the National League and the American League never played each other until the World Series. They played the All-Star game, but that was an exhibition. So these players never played each other. Like Babe Ruth never faced, there's plenty of pitchers he never faced in the National League because they never made it to the World Series, right? So there you go. I mean, how was your career not rounded up if you didn't face half of the pitchers in what was called Major League Baseball? Actually, you didn't face more than half because we're forgetting about the Negro Leagues. Yes, the Negro Leagues also. The Negro Leagues also never played the American League and the National League, but they didn't get to play in the World Series either. And recently, the Major League Baseball, it put all of their stats into their official records, and did a lot of purists get pissed off. Oh my God, they weren't playing in the same league as blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, the National League and American League didn't play each other either, so their records shouldn't be in there because they never played against each other. You realize how stupid you people sound? You sound like racists. I understand that part, right? They were not allowed, not because of the National League or the American League. They were allowed because of the pigment of their skin or whatever. Even if they look slightly brown, you know, there was that 1% rule, the eugenics, right? All that crap existed. Let's pretend it never existed and say, well, they shouldn't have their records counted because why didn't they make it in major leagues? That makes literally no sense. So again, the Negro League stats should stand, because if you're taking them out for any reason, if the reason is they didn't get to play against real major league players, they did. They played against people that were also excluded from the major leagues. And there was plenty of white guys in Major League Baseball that didn't belong there. They weren't good enough. A lot of them are just on the team because they were a pet. They were like the favorite of the manager. It didn't provide anything. So let's not act like, oh, baseball purity. It ain't a thing. By the way, all stadiums are different sizes. They're all different sizes. There's no cookie cutter stadium anywhere. So why do we pretend like home runs are a stat that's definitely the same in every stadium? And it just isn't. So allowing the Negro League stats, a big step in the right direction. They should have allowed them to begin with a long time ago. But they straightened it out. And that's the way it's going to be, folks. Now, the thing that they did before 1974 that was a good move, but it was only a halfway good move, was the designated hitter. What's the designated hitter? In 1973, after their first labor stoppage, the players themselves said, hey, we want longer careers. My guy Hank Aaron can't play in the field anymore because he's 40. Can we invent a pitcher? Let's just get rid of the pitcher's batting completely because it's a waste of everybody's time, right?
Yep.
And just put a designated hitter out there, doesn't play in the field, he just comes up to bat and goes sit on the bench. So that started in 1973, and it prolonged Hank Aaron's career, a bunch of people's careers, right? But the other reason, again, was expansion. When you let more teams, right? If you go from, say, 10 teams to 14 teams, what happens? A lot of people are now in the Major League Baseball. Right. Well, not more games. Same
okay.
amount of games, probably. Yeah, they added more games back in the 60s. But expansion also made it weakened the talent pool, diluted the talent, right? There's people now getting to
Oh.
Major League Baseball that are barely holding on, right? So what the designated hitter did is it gave you the option of saving your pitchers, right? I'm going to save my pitcher. I don't have to pinch hit for my pitcher in the 4th inning because he doesn't have to bat. So my pitcher doesn't have to come up here. And plus, there's a whole long reason why the designated hitter was good. But that gets on to number 4. In 2022, they decided that the National League also gets the designated hitter. And I wonder if you can guess why. It has to do with one player. The National League had a designated hitter. I'm sorry, the American League had a designated hitter. The National League had no designated hitter, right? Now,
Was it a
there
Japanese
was a player in
player?
America. There was one player in the American League who was a designated hitter and a pitcher. Who would that be? It would be Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, there you go.
Shohei Ohtani changed leagues. He went to the National League. Now, if they had the pitchers can bat, the DH didn't have whatever, Ohtani would have to sit out. He would have to sit out games, right? Or play first base on his day off. The National League said, we want DH, we want Ohtani. So that's when the rule changed. They did it right. Now everybody plays under the same rules. Was that so hard? Anyway, it wasn't hard. They just needed a freak pitcher. We needed a guy who, can pitch and hit 50 home runs and steal 50 bases. That's the guy that had to change the rules. Anyway, so National League finally got on board. That was a great rule. And a lot of these rule changes are recent and they've really sped up the game. And one of them is, this really speeds up the game. And this happened during the pandemic. Ghost runners, right? You ever play baseball with your friends and you don't have 9 people to play, right? You want 4, right? You need ghost runners, right? You can't have the bases loaded and nobody up to bat, right? You have a ghost runner at first, ghost runner at second, right? So Major League Baseball during the pandemic was trying to relieve stress on pitchers by not making them go more than 9 innings, games more than 9 innings. What they did was they changed the overtime rules. The game is 9 innings, but in the 10th inning, the last guy who made the last out in the 9th inning goes to second base to start the inning. Now you've got a runner on base, any hit scores them, it shortens the game, it ends the game a lot earlier. Otherwise, you got 25 innings of nobody scoring.
Yeah.
The game never ends. Yeah, so there's never going to be another 20-inning game because it made it so much easier to score in extra innings. The ghost runner was made temporary just for the pandemic. It worked so well, they made it permanent. So no more of these protracted games. Teams are, it's a 162 game season. Let's put it this way, 162 game season, right? You're playing Seattle on Wednesday night. You got to fly to New York City in the morning. Here we are in the 10th inning of a tie game, and instead of having a runner on second, you have nobody on base and nobody scores. And you just keep doing that over and over and over again until they got to postpone the game for curfew and play it some later day. This guy read all this crap. Just put somebody on base. Let's just get this game over. Let's pick a winner. Good Lord. I mean, hockey does this. They go a 3-on-3, right? They just take a couple players off the ice, makes it easier to score. Or they used to do, soccer does the kickoff, the penalty kick. Nobody wants to sit there for 20 hours watching a baseball game. Nothing really happens in a baseball game, by the way. That's why you can have it on TV and not pay attention to it until your bat cracking. Hey, something happened. Anyway, number 6. Not allowing aluminum bats. That's still it's just a rule. It's never been changed. But again, there was pressure at one time to go, oh, nobody's hitting 75 home runs a year. We need to put aluminum bats in. I'm like, who wants that? I do not watch a baseball game, and I can't watch college baseball for this reason. I understand why colleges use aluminum bats because budgets, right? They're wooden bats break. They do. You maybe get 10 bats out of a bat and it'll break. But aluminum bats don't break. But Major League Baseball, for safety reasons, has never endorsed aluminum bats. I think they were trying it at minor league level, but nah. That's enough of this. You guys, there's still enough trees to make bats. We haven't run out of trees yet. Let's not kill people for a sport.
Also, people are
bat,
paid to make those bats, I'm pretty sure. I guess maybe they're made by machines, but...
Louisville Slugger makes them. Yeah, they're usually made, they used to be made only from ash, now they're made from maple and birch. Birch does grow a lot faster. The maple grows pretty fast too. And ash has become kind of a lesser crop in this country. So number 7, though, again, we're keeping people safe. And number 7, again, was done to speed up the game. Boy, do I hate watching baseball when the guy throws 15 times the first base, sits there shakes off 9 pitches. 3 or 4 minutes later, he finally throws a pitch. Well, they got rid of that with the pitch clock. Dude, you better throw a pitch. It's going to be ball 1. If you don't throw a pitch again, it's going to be ball 2, right? You have a clock, and the pitcher can see the clock. It's big as shit where you might be on the batter. He has no excuse not to throw the pitch on time. The pitch clock has definitely sped up the game. That passed in 2023. All of these latest speed up the game laws passed in 2023. The one that passed this year is called ABS. ABS stands for Automatic Balls and Strikes. Now, if you're watching World Baseball Classic, you saw that little square box, right? And you saw definitely some terrible calls by the umpire, but they are not able to challenge balls and strikes in the World Baseball Classic. Major League Baseball changed that rule this year. This year, and maybe going forward, you can challenge balls and strike. You get 2 challenges per game. If you win your challenge, you get to keep it, right? So you can keep challenging as long as you keep winning. If the umpire blows a call. However, that little box that you saw in the WBC, that's going away. That is going bye-bye, because they don't want the viewers to sit there and constantly be going, that's a strike, second guessing. But once there's a challenge, you will be able to see it on the screen, and they'll be able to see it on the, because I've seen this the spring training, and I think they did it last year too. You'll be able to see it on the big screen at the stadium. You'll be see that big strike zone and that ball, and everybody gets to see whether it's a ball or strike. So again, great advancement. Umpires that get shit wrong all the time, and this is going to make I think this will make a more uniform strike zone. You can't shade people. I think this is it doesn't seem to have slowed down the game. It's like an instant, right? The only way it would not slow down the game is if the system stopped working for some reason. Number 9, we just talked about the WBC, the World Baseball Classic. That's been going on since 20 years now. And I only paid attention to it for about the last 3 times. It happens every 3 years, I believe, now. I don't think they want to coincide with the Summer Olympics. I think that's the way that works. But the World Baseball Classic, again, Japan beat the United States last time in a final, and this time it's Venezuela turning everything on its ear and going, hey, there's a lot of good players in Venezuela in Major League Baseball. And I was definitely cheering for the Venezuelan team, way over the American team, even though there was 1 Milwaukee Brewer on the American team. There was 3 on the Venezuelan team, and their pitcher that they just picked up from Kansas City, Zerpa, that guy was lights out. He was lights out. He didn't allow a run in all of his appearances in the World Baseball Classic. So the WBC something, I give a shit about baseball in March. Do you believe this? They are doing something right, folks. And I'm not just talking about the United States. Everybody in Venezuela is walking around with a damn smile on their face today. Or at least yesterday, right? Number 10, another thing that speeds up the game, pitcher disengagements. This is, You ever watch a game? Pitcher's got to throw to first base. There's a guy in first base. Throws there 10 times, right? Somebody at bat, pitchers keep throwing it to first base. What are we doing? And then the guy steals second anyway. What the hell is that? He just wasted everybody's time. This is why people hated baseball. Just forget about the base runner. New rule, you can throw to first base twice. In fact, you can go into your setup, right? And if you step off at all, that's a disengagement. The pitch clock stops, but that's a disengagement. You do it a second time, that's a second disengagement. A third disengagement, and the runner gets to take second base. You cannot throw over there 3 times. The third time, if you don't pick him off, he gets the second, right? So that speeds up the game. Another great innovation by baseball, listening to their fans. Thank you very much. Another one that was made necessary by tragedy, unfortunately, putting nets all the way around near where balls fly at 100 miles an hour into the crowd. And there's been people killed by this, or maimed, or definitely, their lives been definitely sidetracked for a while. Flying baseballs and they're not paying attention. I don't know. You go to a baseball field, you should be paying attention. A lot of people aren't. I don't know. Now, they're kids too. Don't forget kids. Just, brought their glove and they're not paying attention. Bam. But netting, never entered their thought till a liability issue came into it. So at least they did that. Number 11, nets around the field. That started in 2018, and it basically ended during the pandemic. And it had no crowds. And they could put netting up during the game. There was nobody in the crowd, right?
Yeah.
Number 12, the other thing they did in 2023 to make a decrease injury, larger bases. Why did they make larger bases? They made larger bases because other runners were stepping on the first baseman's foot. The runners were stepping on the second baseman's foot. And when you step on somebody's foot and you're wearing cleats, you've cleated them and you've probably twisted your own ankle. So fewer collisions, bigger bases. You only have to have your little toe on the tip of the base, Mr. First Baseman. You don't have to have the thing right across the whole base. So fewer accidents. It's been proven. They first tried it in minor leagues, and it proved the evidence there. Fewer accidents. They did in Major League Baseball since 2023. Fewer injuries from collisions. Also more stolen bases because the base is bigger, right? It's easier to put your hand on it. So and I love stolen bases. I am not a big fan of just hitting home runs all day. Hitting home runs is boring. I mean, it looks great, but it's boring. It's not exciting in baseball. Stealing bases is exciting. Make the defense. Putting pressure on the defense is much more exciting. And our number 13. Something that was introduced in 2018 and is still being done in 2022. ESPN did it first. But Major League Baseball embraced it. If you can read that, it says, interviewing players on the field during the game. Yeah, I love that shit. This happened during a strike a lot because there was nobody in a crowd. Major League Baseball has given full approval for players to say, hey, if you make a deal with the network, you can play on the game. And it's like, why is Major League Baseball allowing this? This seems like it's counterintuitive to, making a quality product. They did it because the Major League Baseball players said, we want this. And why do they want it? They get paid $10,000 for each time they do an interview. That's why they want it. Anyway, so that's a good thing though, right?
Yeah.
Right? Stop clamping down on your player's free speech. If he's the shortstop and he's just, you can talk and play baseball, by the way. They talk all the time. Yay, bada, whoa, bada. They're all talking. So it's not that shit, but it's more or less, guy asks him a question and he's like, yeah, between pitches or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well,
they're never doing it while the ball's in the air, for instance. They're never, hey, Bob, catch that ball. That never happens. Anyway, it's that.
I don't know when they started doing it in sports in general, right? But they started putting mics on players and things. And then you can do that in baseball easily. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they might
listen to what they're chatting about.
Players.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been making players for a long time.
And my bonus to add to this list, and I don't know how recent this is or anything, but I've really enjoyed, I think it's probably like a minor league, not the major leagues. I've really enjoyed that one team that does TikTok dances on the field. The whole team, like the song will come on and the whole team, including,
Havana. They have a whole league.
Exactly.
Havana Bananas.
Yeah, I love that. So that is a great introduction to the sport, right? If you're not already interested in it or anything, you can go to their game and see. Absolutely. I can't wait to see what song they're gonna dance to during, whatever, the sixth inning or whenever they do it.
Right. They play in the Coastal Plains League. They play other farcical teams, right? Like some of these
I think that's a positive thing. I think that's just a positive thing for a sport, to make it an entertaining thing too, right? Not just a.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of talented players.
I think here's the problem with baseball. If I can go on a little tangent here about baseball, it made sense to go to a game all day long on a Saturday or something because nobody else was doing anything. There's no computers. There was no scrolling through social media on your phone. You would literally be like, "Oh, what do you want to do on Saturday?" Well, there's a show, there's the baseball game. All right, let's go to that for the whole day. You know, it makes sense back then that baseball games were 20 innings long because you kind of were going there with the idea that we're hanging out.
It actually never made sense. It actually never made sense.
I'm just saying, right? In a general sense, right? When you go to a baseball game, you're expecting to be there all day. That's your thing for the day. When we went to the minor league baseball games, right, with Hannah and Melanie and stuff, I was expecting to be there until the night. And, you know, that's what I was expecting. I wasn't going anywhere else. But nowadays, right, we got phones, we've got computers, we've got YouTube we could be watching or movie, you know. All of this stuff that required you to go out into the world to experience, you can do in your house now. Movies, music.
All people at the game just bring their phones and watch the game on their phones anyway. A lot of times, so it's true. It's true. People, baseball is always like this ever since when transistor radios were invented. Everybody in the stands was listening to broadcasts on their little one headphone, one little earpiece, listening to the broadcast because they want to know who's up and what he's hitting and all this other shit that you don't get from just being at the game. So I don't think that's really changed anything. I think you either like baseball or you don't. And I think that's the only dividing line. It's like everything. And again, I will defend sports to my dying day as the only meritocracy in the world. That's the only meritocracy. You're not putting a guy out there for 10 innings who can't pitch. It's not happening. Anyway, I was gonna let's read off the league. It's called the Coastal Plain League, is where Savannah Bananas play. The Holy Springs Salamanders, the Greenville Yard Gnomes, the Tri-City Chili Peppers, the Morehead City Marlins, the Wilmington Sharks, the Wilson Tobs, what's a Tob? The Peninsula Pilots. And in the western half of this, wrong button. What the hell? You have the Forest City Owls, the Lexington County Blowfish, the Boone Bigfoots, the Ashiboro Zookeepers, that's a new name. The Martinsville Mustangs, the Macon Bacon. Wow, there's a name. The Macon Bacon from Macon, Georgia. The Thomasville High Toms and the Florence Flamingos. That's your Hannah Bananas League, I guess. As your funny names for all these independent league. By the way, they're not even, none of these guys are getting called up anytime soon unless they are really good. There's your story. Sorry it took so long.
For my limerick, I've got two separate limericks about the same thing, so I'm just going to put them together. In the park, where the fans cheer with might, baseball's turned things around. What a sight! With the Negro League scored and the Wood Bats adored, they're keeping the game seamless and bright. With timer for pitchers in place and the umpire's calls now a race. Safety nets on the field, all the players have healed. Now let's dance on the outfield with grace. That was my little reference to the Hannah Banana dancing on the field. So there is
Havana Bananas,
Havana Bananas. Sorry, Havana Bananas.
Havana, not Havana. It's not Cuba. It's Savannah, Georgia. Savannah.
Oh, Savannah. Okay, sorry.
Savannah, Georgia. Coastal city.
Yeah, I know where Savannah is. I've heard of it. Yeah, I think I've been there, or we drove through it once or something.
Basically underwater a lot these days, Savannah.
Let's roll our next segue for my culture news.
Culture news.
I'll roll it again because it's reminds me of a song.
I did that already, didn't I?
Water. Bad pun. Our story is coming out of France again, actually. I just realized I'm talking about France twice today. This is the Dijon 5, which are skeletons they found in a school playground. This is by Cecilia Jouetti in Tokunubu Salako. French archaeologists have discovered 5 new Gallic-seated burials at an excavation site in Dijon town center. That's right, it's not just mustard, it's a real place. While barely 75 skeletons in this position have been found anywhere in the world. The latest discovery brings that to 20, the number found in the city famed for its mustard. It's a hole in the ground with no decorative or distinguishing marks whatsoever. Inside, a young Gaul, legs curled up, head bowed, sleeps alongside 5 other skeletons. His seated form catches the eye of curious school children. It could be a scene from a horror movie, but it's a description of the latest playground discovery at the Josephine Baker Primary School in the French city of Dijon, where archaeologists have been hard at work since January 2025 trying to get these skeletons out. All the graves contain men aged between 40 and 60, ranging in height from 1.62 to 1.82. These were some tall men. In relatively good health and with good teeth, the body shows signs of physical assault, including one with a deadly wound to the skull. The discovery is exceptional because of their positions and the good condition of the skeletons. Each is seated at the bottom of a pit 1 meter in circumference and around 40 centimeters deep. Even more unusual, says the Institute, are the unhealed marks of violence on 5 or 6 of them, probably indicative of the intentional killing, gashes on the humerus. One of them received 2 blows to the skull from a sharp object. The arms and extended down their torsos, their hands are resting close to their pelvis, and their backs are resting against the eastern wall looking westwards. It remains unclear, however, if the site was a burial ground for criminals, human sacrifices, or people buried by enemies of Gaul to dissuade others from fighting. There are no funerary objects, furniture, or ornaments in the tomb. Only a black rock armband enabled archaeologists from France's National Institute for Preventative Archaeological Research to date the tombs to the Gallic period. Because it's really easy to grade carbon, right? You can't really grade bone as easily. It's difficult for archaeologists to determine what this burial corresponds to, and speculation is rife. Were they killed before being buried? Was their position a mark of respect or posthumous shame? For the time being, INRAP has no preferred explanation. The only conclusion archaeologists can draw is that these burials were part of a larger, complex operation. So now, sorry Sally, you can't go to primary school anymore. We have to excavate your entire school. The skeletons were not discovered by chance by curious children digging in their playground. Don't worry about that. But were part of a research project planned by teams from INRAP. In France, all development works must be preceded by a visit from an archaeologist, especially since Dijon is a very old city. If the archaeologist sees any sign that archaeological material is present in the soil, an INRAP team is sent out for several months to record, study, and exhume it, to ensure that work does not cause traces of the past to disappear. For more than 30 years, the preventative excavation carried out in Dijon have often revealed heavy occupation by the Gauls. A gold mine for archaeologists, because while the name of the Celtic people is familiar to most in France, whether thanks to the Asterix and Obelix comic strip or history lessons, many of their customs are still a mystery to historians and archaeologists. Much of what we know about Gauls comes from Caesar's writings on his conquest of Gaul, which were not primarily concerned with objectivity and anthropological research. These freaking barbarians, they shit where they eat. Alright, that's good to know. Thanks, Caesar. The area of Dijon around the Josephine Baker School complex is full of these signs. A few months ago, 13 Gallic skeletons were found on the same site just 20 meters away. So yeah, if there's a lot of skeletons around there, they might be in some sort of funeral area. In the 1990s, work in the nearby Saint-Anne neighborhood also revealed burials similar to those found in the courtyard of the school. According to INRAP, however, this year's discovery could prove the existence of a structured Gallic occupation of the site, traces of which are now buried in the very heart of the city. That's right. The very heart. They're down there in the cavities. The cavities of the city. Digs revealed an imposing defensive ditch, a traffic route bordered by an area dedicated to burying animals dating from the end of the Gallic period around the 1st century BC. In all, this small area of Dijon contains around 20 tombs of seated Gauls out of the 75 currently recorded worldwide, France, Switzerland, and Great Britain. So the whole city just needs to be exhumed, is what it sounds like, which is harder to say. I mean, you were there with me, right? You were in there in Greece. This happens in Greece all the time. There'll be wanting to install a new road.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, we found another ancient Greek house or something, so we can't build the road here for another 30 years. Yeah.
That building that was next to us, they were 3 stories down, and they had to stop every excavation they were doing. And the archaeologists had to come through with their sifter, right?
Yeah.
Everybody sitting around eating lunch, watching them as they sift through the archaeological evidence. The whole site shuts down, and this happened every single day. I saw this happen on my balcony. I was watching it. It's like, yeah, they just stopped everything. Jackhammer, shut it off. We hit something again. Let's see what it is. It's archaeological. It's historic. And that's all over under Greece, by the way.
Yeah, that means that Athens. Yeah, Athens is probably 10 layers of cities. 10 layers of cities over each other.
The subway is just full of archaeological finds. It's just an amazing place.
It's impressive they were able to build a. It was impressive they were able to build a subway. You know.
I saw something shocking about Athens the other day. So Iran's missile can actually reach Athens, which is not a comforting thought.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just after they were trying to.
Hey, right? EU is staying onto this for good reason.
Well, for sure, yeah.
All right, my pun. Yeah, I have 2 puns about the French and another pun at the end. To be completely frank, this sounds galling, or even galing. Galing. Galing or galling, either way. Galing would be the Gaelic version of galling. France was called Gaul back in the old barbarian days.
Or the area where France is, but most of Gaul was actually a large portion of land. It was like France to Germany, really.
And of course, the Franks is where France got its name. Beans and Franks. I don't know. Here's your bad pun.
All right, let's get our final segue for this day in history.
That was your third story, wasn't it? Okay.
Wow, I'm the poet today because it's a haiku. So limerick and haiku for me today.
Oh, what? Shit, let me get my shit together here. All right, this day in history, always plenty long, so plenty of time. This day in history, channeling back before any of his troubles began, hopefully. Let's go back to where the real 1452 is. This is all the distance we're going back today on March 19th. 1452, Frederick III became the last Holy Roman Emperor to be crowned by a pope. And that was Nicholas V, or Nicholas V. 1560, a conspiracy of Ambroise, French Huguenot aristocrats, failed to overthrow the Roman Catholic House of Guise. All them Roman Catholics dabbling in politics. That's never been good. 1687, while on the expedition to find this mouth of the Mississippi River, we talked about Big Muddy earlier. That's what the name of Mississippi is anyway. But it's a metaphor in a song. French explorer René Robert Cavelier, Sieur de La Salle. Let's just call him La Salle, famous French explorer, was murdered by his men in what is now Texas. La Salle had previously claimed a large region around the river for Louis XIV of France, naming it Louisiana. So La Salle, the guy who I think was looking for a mythical beast too, called the Griffin. I remember that guy. He had a lot of weird theories about what was out there in the ocean. 1860, William Jennings Bryan was born. He was a populist leader in magnetic order, ran unsuccessfully 3 times for the U.S. presidency, 1896, 1900, 1908. William Jennings Bryan was born this day. He would be, 166, but he's not around. 1911, the first International Women's Day was observed in this day, 1911. Yeah, nice. 1918, President Woodrow Wilson signed the Standard Time Act. Oh, here's the guy. You want to know who's to blame for this shit? It's Wilson! Wilson! U.S. President Woodrow Wilson signed the Standard Time Act, which established daylight savings time in the United States. The legislation also gave the federal government oversight of the country's time zones.
Damn you!
Friggin' knew. And again,
Now-
still have not figured out the logic behind daylight savings time. Every argument I've ever heard makes
Oh,
no
your
sense.
camera's going crazy.
Is it? How about now? Still on? Yeah, what?
I think it stopped. Okay, it stopped. It was going wild. And we still don't know why we're doing it. We're just still doing it because we're creatures of habit. I don't know.
Yeah, and again, it passed unanimously in Congress. Nobody signed the bill. What the hell happened? I don't understand daylight savings time. Nobody's don't even drag farmers into that, because farmers don't need clocks at all. And what does a farmer need a clock for? It's either raining or it's not raining. That's what a farmer needs now. 1920, Josef Pilsudski was named Marshal of Poland. He changed the name to Marshal of Poland. That's what his name for now on. I don't know. 1931, Nevada legalized gambling, which paved the way for casinos in the state, most notably Las Vegas. I still don't know why Las Vegas still exists. You can gamble anywhere. I can gamble on my phone. Why would I go to Las Vegas? 1954, American journalist Jill Abramson was the first woman to serve as executive editor of New York Times, which used to be a paper, was born. Of course, New York Times is just a rubber stamp for fascism now. They want to get all their stories run by the White House, make sure that they don't offend the White House, or they will get sued because they're chicken shits. Let's stop pretending that the American press is a bunch of cowards nowadays. 1962, American musician Bob Dylan released his eponymous debut album to mix reviews, and there's your bingo card for today, your Bob Dylan reference. His eponymous album, to me, is actually pretty damn good. I listened to it. I had never listened to it much, but a few years ago, I was like, wow, these are actually pretty good songs considering who he was. He was basically nobody, a 20-year-old kid, you know? He hadn't even turned 21 yet. So, 1982, Argentine forces. Yeah, I know. And he had not yet wrote Masters of War or any of the fun songs he wrote. A couple of years later, within 2 years, Bob Dylan was on everybody's lips. Not literally, of course. 1982, Argentine forces mobilized after a dispute between Argentine workers and British scientists on a British-controlled South Georgia island of the Falkland Islands, or as they call them in Brooklyn, the Falkland Islands. Argentina's invasion of the Falklands. Margaret Thatcher sent, a team of, I don't know, waitresses and busboys to go throw Argentina off Falkland Islands because, hey, I want to start a war to look popular, and that's all it was. Yeah, it was nothing. Again, Falkland Islands, 99% sheep. Nobody lives there. It's just sheep. 1996, one of the worst fires in the history of the Philippines went through a Manila discotheque, killing 159 of the 400 people in a nightclub, which is okay. Let's look at the building capacity of this nightclub. 35. Yeah. I don't know how you can dance in a nightclub that has the capacity of 35 and you have 400 people. I swear to God, people are. I said, the age of stupid isn't a new thing, but how important is it for you to go to a disco that you have to squeeze into a room that you can't fit into and still dance? People, stop it already. Get some brains. Again, the Philippines, it's just.
Yet again, people let them go in too, so that's the other problem, right? The people running the establishment. Yeah, exactly.
The Philippines doesn't. Why do you have capacities on your buildings if you don't have anybody to enforce it? What the hell's the point in having a sign? Capacity 35. Fuck it. You know, we got mirrors on the walls. It makes it look bigger, right? 1997, Dutch-American artist William de Kooning died at the age of 92, a major exponent of abstract expressionism and action painting, whose series Woman 1 through 6 caused a stir with its violent images and impulsive technique.
Thank you.
So he shocked a lot of people with his in-your-face art. That's the way I see
R.I.P.
it.
William de Kooning.
William
He
de
shocked
Kooning.
people by being absurdist. I'm shocked.
Abstract expressionist of it.
Why are
Abstract
those squares
expressionist,
like
not the
that?
regular.
I don't know. I don't know any of his art.
We'll have to look it up. 2003, in one of our last where we started for no damn reason. George W. Bush ordered strikes on Baghdad, thus launching an Iraq war to oust Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein. And that's not what he said when he started the war. He said we're doing it because they have weapons of mass destruction. He never did. Iraq has never been the same. We totally fucked up. George Bush should be thrown in jail. And Dick Cheney should have spent the rest of his life in jail. They lied, they killed a lot of people, and we're still paying the consequences of that. They were no threat to us. 2008, English writer Arthur C. Clarke was best known for his visionary, you know Arthur C. Clarke. He died at the age of 90. He wrote Space Odyssey, 2001 Space Odyssey, and a bunch of other science fiction. He's one of your bigger science fiction, what do you want to call them, mavens? I don't know what that word means.
Mavens.
2014, American church leader Fred Phelps died at the age of 84. Who cares? Anyway, he was a piece of shit who founded the Westboro Baptist Church, known for its straight in opposition to homosexuality and gay rights movement,
And
as
being
expressed on picket signs
pieces
carried
of
by
shit.
church members at funerals and other events. Again, Britannica burying the actual lead. I don't know if it's a lead, but it's actually, they're just eliminating actual facts from the story. It wasn't just at funerals. It was at veterans killed in line of duty funerals. The worst place you can show up and harass people. It's like, I wouldn't have blamed family members if they just went out and started beating these people up. Yeah, all right. God hates fags. Got it. Now I'm going to beat the shit out of you. Gotcha. Thanks for the sign. Go pick up your teeth. I don't know. What's wrong with you?
Go pick up
Anyway,
your
this
teeth.
day, Fred Phelps died this day. Fred Phelps died this day.
Yay! Let's
Died
celebrate.
at the age of 84. So he was
Piece of
consuming
shit.
oxygen, consuming perfectly good oxygen that other people could have used or something, for something useful. They could have used it to fill balloons, for instance, but he was using it for his own lungs. Complete waste of oxygen. Fred Phelps. 1882. Construction begins on the Basilica della Sagrada Familia. That is has to be in Italy. On this date, 1882, Barcelona, it's in Spain. Archbishop of Barcelona said the cornerstone of the Basilica della Sagrada Familia, architect Francisco Paula de Valar, designed it to be a traditional Gothic revival cathedral, complete with the arch windows and flying buttresses. Man, I had flying buttresses one day. Doctor gave me a shot, cleared it right up. His vision, however, differed from that of the Basilica's chief patron, Josep Maria Bacca Bella. And in 1883, Villar resigned. He was replaced by the young architect Antonio Gaudi, whose creativity was all gaudy. I wonder if they got that term from Gaudi, huh? Whose creativity and willingness to use color transformed the structure into the marvel it is today. Yeah, it looks like a Gothic church with all the big spires, because God loves a spire, doesn't he? He's like, oh, there's your spires. You can't pray to me without a spire. I'm God. What are you thinking? Anyway, God, if he gives a shit at all, doesn't care about your damn church. That's my opinion. Anyway, Glenn Close, American actress, was born on this day. It's her birthday. Born March 19th. She's turning 79. Glenn Close, who's known for winning she won a few Academy Awards. I know she's been nominated a bunch of times. Most notably, in my opinion, for the one where she was, the one where she cooks the rabbit. What was that one?
I don't think I've seen a lot of her films, so.
Michael Douglas has an affair with her, right? And she loses her mind. Fatal Attraction, that one, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's it. Fatal Attraction, where Glenn Close is absolutely, completely fucking out of her mind, in love with married with kids, Michael Douglas, right? And ends up cooking her kid's pet rabbit. Yeah. Very charming movie. Anyway, she was really good in it. 1860, I think she won the Academy Award. If she didn't, she should have. 1860, William Jennings Bryan. We did that. Albert Speer, we got to remember Nazis. Albert Speer's birthday, 1905. Architect, yeah, speaking of architect, he loved that Gothic stuff too, because it reminded him of the greatness of the Holy Roman Empire. Right? 1906, another Nazi birthdays today. Adolf Eichmann, German. Boy, I wonder if those guys got together at the Berchtesgaden they had themselves a big old drinking cup day. Albert, you can see them too, just tossing back beers all day. Also, Bruce Willis' birthday in your non-Nazi news. Bruce Willis turning 71 today. Happy birthday to Bruce Willis.
Damn.
Ex-husband of our poster girl in the corner there. But we no longer feature on this channel anymore. And what national days is it? Well, I'll tell you. It's National Poultry Day. So, poultry in motion, as the old chicken joke goes. National Chocolate Caramel Day. I can eat 4 pounds of that. National Let's Laugh Day. Let's definitely laugh, and we're gonna laugh because Afroman is gonna provide entertainment. National Certified Nurses Day. If you're not a certified nurse, I don't know what the hell you are. You're just a pretend nurse, a cosplay nurse. What are you? Anyway,
no, it's a real thing that's happened, actually.
No, you got to be certified to be a nurse. I mean, it's just the way it is.
No, I mean, there's people who show up and they somehow get past it and they're not certified.
Nah, if you're cosplaying, yeah, sure.
There's actually 3 different certifications, and you cannot have any of them.
And you can also fake it. If nobody checks on you and they're running short of people, fuck it. They look like a nurse. So yeah, again, you can get away with a lot of crap in a society. Look who our president is. Holy shit. You don't need a worse example than that. National Farm Rescuer Day. I don't know what a farm rescuer is, but maybe it's a guy who tells you what crops to plant, because he looks like he's in the middle of the field with his laptop and a tractor or harvester. That's a tractor. I don't know what's exactly. So he's got a tractor. He's standing, not in his tractor, which to me, I would be in my tractor charging the battery. Plus you get shade in there and you can't see your screen in a freaking bright sun. So apparently farmers don't know how to look at laptops because he's standing in the middle of his field looking at it, but you can't see it. There's no damn way. Go outside of your laptop, see how much you see. I'm sorry. Anyway, it's probably some kind of agriculture agent that saves you from planting the wrong crops. That's probably who a farmer rescuer is. It's absolutely incredible Kids Day. All kids are absolutely incredible. Let's not burden our kids with a bunch of stupid shit, right? They're kids. Let them be kids. At least until they're like, let's give them 13 to be kids.
Yeah, for me, 12, 13, yeah. That was a good time for me to be treated like a human being, in my opinion, instead of like a pet or whatever.
Yeah, I was never a kid. I don't remember being a kid. I did kid stuff, but me, I was watching Watergate in 1972. I was 9, watching Watergate. What's wrong with me? Anyway, they had Watergate hearings on TV all summer long. It was live, right? 70s, it was all. When did you know that the president was full of shit? Those kind of questions. It was just entertaining as hell to me as a 9-year-old. Think of that. I was watching Bullwinkle and Pink Panther too. Don't get me wrong, but I wasn't on Mr. Rogers because I was way too old at 9. I was like, I already know this shit, Mr. Rogers. Thanks. I mean, a great guy, by the way, but I didn't need Mr. Rogers to tell me that black people are people too. I really didn't. Right? Like, I am normal. Have an opinion, right? But there was a lot, believe me, there was lots of people that did not have that opinion. I really wish that wasn't true, but it was. Okay, so it's National Let's Laugh Day, National Certified, National Backyard Day. We already covered that. I'm going to be in my backyard with my absolutely incredible kids rescuing a farm and laughing about it while I eat chocolate caramels.
It sounds like a great Thursday.
Thursday. All that stuff for March 19th, 2026. I'm before chocolate caramels and, of course, poultry. I don't know if you're going to eat the poultry or just celebrate it, because it doesn't show the poultry.
Rescue them,
fish.
maybe.
So maybe
rescue the poultry.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Or just go collect your eggs. Just go collect your eggs. So you can have breakfast. There you go. There you go. All right, that's your stories, your bullshit for today. I already did my sign off for. Let's do it again. March 19th, 2026. I'm before chocolate caramels. I screwed it up the second time. All right, enough of that.
All right, I've got some haikus for you about our day in history. No, not 9. Calm down. Stone rises to the sky. Gaudi's dream takes form anew. Faith and art Faith and art entwined. That would be too many syllables if I said re-intertwined. Graceful in her craft, Close, as in Glenn Close, shines through each role she plays. Talent knows no age. When
Fatal
crisis
attraction.
descends, farm rescuers rise with hope. Fields bloom through the storm. So I did look up what a farm rescue day is, and it's just basically those people who help out. There was a huge fire, you know, you need people to, or you need more help on getting the crop out. You know, basically, let's celebrate those people
ICE deported every worker
make
in
sure
America.
farmers, make sure farmers are still being successful with volunteers and repairing your tractor, and just people who help out farmers. That's what it could be. People who help out Farmers Day. They're not farmers by trade, but they go out there and volunteer to help, you know, help farmers.
I think of Hank Campbell from Green Acres. I think of that guy. You know, I watched that show.
Basically,
He was hilarious.
I think this only exists because, as many Americans will know, insurance won't pay out, the state won't help you, so you have to go to the private sector to get help. You know.
Right.
So the farm rescue is actually a national foundation that basically just pays out money to farmers who need help. So you can go apply, I think, and say, "Hey, we need help. There was a huge drought and all our wheat died." Yeah.
Every year there's a concert held by Neil Young, Bob Dylan, John Mellencamp, and I think who else is in it? There's somebody else that does it. I'm leaving them out. It's called Farm Aid, right? And you can apply for aid from them. I'm not sure how it works, but.
And I did look up some art by William de Koning, and just imagine like a toddler drawing a picture, but you know, fancier because it's actually an adult doing it. But it is absurdist. You know, it's like, oh, what does this say? There's some angles in there. Oh, that looks like these angles look like a person getting their hair dried at the hairdresser. But to you, it could look like a clown getting their head chopped off in a guillotine. You know, that's the absurdist art that he creates, where it's kind of a lot of lines and colors. And
there are no serious comics anymore. Like, there's no serious comics that are drawn really well, right? Like, what's that one that's on Adult Swim? It's got.
I don't know. I haven't seen Adult Swim in 8 years or longer. It's not a channel here.
It's about a private detective. Anyway, I watched it a bunch of times. It's hilarious, but it's definitely adult, right? It's not.
Yeah, a lot of the adult animations look really ugly. I don't know why they do that. They look super ugly.
But they're really well drawn. That's the point I made. I mean, if you're watching The Simpsons, that's not really well drawn. That's simplistic.
Like I think it's well drawn. It's simplistic. It's not realistic. I think is what you mean. Like Archer's pretty realistic. It's still a cartoon. Archer is a pretty realistic.
Archer, that's animation. The one exactly. Archer,
is that Archer? Oh, okay.
It's well. I
was trying to think of cartoons that were on a. Yeah, Adult Swim. Yeah,
but
Archer's pretty well drawn.
Yeah, it's total parody.
Satire. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, South Park is not well drawn. You know.
No.
These are not like artistic cartoons. Neither is Family Guy. Right? It's just some amateurish drawings. It's like just repeating it over and over again. Nothing's accurate. But your ones, they're still not serious. There are no serious comics. Is there any serious comics? I'm not talking about movies made about comics. I'm talking about comics where there's no real people and there's no laughs, like zero laughs. Is there anything like that?
Yeah,
I don't think there is.
There's plenty of anime that's like that, but you know, it depends on how you feel about Japanese
anime. Okay, what? That's different. That's different, I suppose. Serious, but in a fun way, right? Don't you think?
Sure.
Right?
There's plenty. Yeah.
They're not real.
Who is this? This is my dad. We do a podcast together. It's called Before Coffee. Welcome to the end of the show, which we just finished it. So
hello.
Sorry.
Happy birthday, everybody.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Anyways, that is the end of our show. So thank you everyone who was here to listen to our list about baseball and our general news stories that happened. Please, if you're not already, subscribe to the Before Coffee podcast channel on YouTube so that we can get more subscribers on YouTube, so YouTube can push us into the algorithms and all that. Thank you everyone who's already following on Twitch, subscribed on YouTube. Sorry, don't forget what?
Don't forget your Nazi birthdays today.
Oh yeah, we had celebrated all the Nazis today. And thank you for everyone who's already following us, already subscribed, and don't forget to turn those notifications on so you know when we go live or post a video. And of course, our Patreons on the Before Coffee supporter tier who are supporting the show. Appreciate all 8 of you, I think it is, or something like that. So thank you very much. And there are no international days today. So this has been Allison from the Netherlands, Roger from the East Coast of the US, and here is our mic drop moment.
Outside this Adams County courthouse, the sound of victory.
Afroman.
After a jury sided with the musician Afroman, whose real name is Joseph Foreman. After a days-long civil defamation trial, Afroman speaking to WCPO right after the verdict.
I didn't win. America.
Oh yeah, we wear that in court.
America still has freedom of speech. It's still for the people, by the people.
The jury finds in favor of the defendant.
7 Adams County Sheriff's deputies sued the musician. They argued Afroman used security video from a 2022 raid of his home and put it in music videos using deputies' likeness without permission.
There's damage to reputation, there's pain and suffering, there's public humiliation. There's everything you saw and heard from these detectives from the witness stand.
This raid taking place nearly 4 years ago following search warrants related to possession and trafficking in drugs and kidnapping. The rapper was never charged. Along with using the surveillance video in multiple music videos, including in the song Lemon Pound Cake, the deputies also say Afroman called them thieves and pedophiles, among other things, on social media.
I didn't go down here and sue the police department.
You broke into my house with my kids alone at home.
I fixed up the damages they made, and I sung songs about them to raise money to do it. They were unapologetic.
The deputies wanted Afroman to pay $3.9 million in damages.
Wow.
We got about a total of 250 pieces given out. This is the last one, and I'd like to give it to you.
Supporters of Afroman coming from near and
pieces of what?
Pieces of what? Verbally and
that was a random interview.
For me, this isn't really about Afroman.
Okay.
It's about free speech. So when someone like Afroman stands up for my free speech by using his talents, his musical talents, to fight the corrupt system, we got to come out and support him.
I'm glad things went my way.
For that.
But if they would have took it off from me, I was happy about all the love I was getting from everybody.
Oh no, he's gonna cry.
Kick my door in.
In Adams County,
when life get you lemons, you make lemon pound cake.
Jay Shakur, WCPO 9 News.
Now go listen to Lemon Pound Cake by Afroman. Cause I got high.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels: Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.